everyone, and thank you for coming to the last talk of this amazing conference. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Noble and what we're solving for, and that's native asset issuance in a modular context. So that's a lot of words. We'll get into it. Before we do, I did want to say a big thank you to the organizers, the volunteers, everyone, the sponsors for making this event happen. Actually, let's give a quick round of applause for them. Yeah, awesome, yeah, because this is really, really hard to do, and yeah, thank you for having me. Okay, let's get into it. So what is Noble? Noble is a purpose-built blockchain for stablecoin issuance in the modular ecosystem. We're currently facilitating about $500 million of transaction volume per month. This has fluctuated over the months, and we'll talk about how we got here. So our success so far, we launched as a Cosmos chain to solve a very, very specific problem, which is how do we onboard stablecoin issuers that want sort of distribution, on-chain distribution to an ecosystem like Cosmos that up until Noble's existence was highly fragmented and highly complicated to navigate. We launched Cosmos native USDC in September of 2023. We've since gotten to about 222 million of native USDC, and we are interoperable with 37 plus Cosmos blockchains leveraging the inter-blockchain communication protocol. This is the native interoperability solution to the Cosmos ecosystem. One thing to emphasize is that unlike many app chains in general, we are highly, highly incentivized to be a proliferator of stablecoin liquidity to the entire Cosmos ecosystem. Typically, if you're building an app chain and you're looking at your go-to-market plan, you want to figure out ways to sort of maintain a liquidity moat, obviously retain users, and make sure that, ideally your users don't leave your platform. Not so for Noble. We are highly, highly incentivized to proliferate stablecoins to 40 plus chains, to many ecosystems, and to effectively be a router of liquidity and solve for a fundamental challenge that we have in the app chain ecosystem, and that's liquidity fragmentation. So we started with native USDC. We've gotten initial traction, but one thing to note is that Noble is a generalized platform. We're onboarding many native assets to our blockchain, including yield-bearing stablecoins like USDY, tokenized treasury bills that are highly compliant and regulated, like USYC, and so on and so forth. So by onboarding these assets, having a very minimalistic chain architecture, we're able to very, very simply, simply proliferate these stablecoins to the entire ecosystem. So I talked a lot about app chains and the fact that Noble is one such app chain, but how are we different than what currently exists? One thing that we are very, very cognizant of is that the app chain vision is currently being realized in the broader ecosystem. So in the Cosmos ecosystem, we've been very familiar with the app chain thesis since day one. The entire premise of the Cosmos vision is interoperable sovereignty. This means that every application or many applications should run on a dedicated blockchain with their own validator set. And so we have many chains like Anoma, Saga, and others sort of launching with this thesis in mind. Also, in the Ethereum space, which others have talked about during this event, obviously app chains are becoming more and more common. You have L2s, L3s, even L4s, and really at the end of the day, these are app chains, and really what the original Cosmos thesis of 8 years ago put forward. Another thing that Noble is very concerned with is the Cosmos SDK. We see this as a very flexible toolkit to build custom modules, one of which I'll go into some detail on in a few slides. And we see IBC as a standard for interchain communication. So we see custodial bridging as inadequate, and we see something like IBC, where at the end of the day, you're trusting the validator sets on either side to verify transactions as a much more optimal interoperability solution. So Noble was born from the Cosmos ecosystem, and we've taken a big sort of bet, and we're very, very convinced that app chains are here to stay. But what does this mean in practice? It means that a lot of the sort of traditional blockchain stack, things like execution, things like data availability, things like issuance, are actually becoming fragmented, and they're actually starting to run on their own dedicated infrastructure, which is why there is now this concept of modularity. So this is one very nice, comprehensive ecosystem map of different projects that are building in this modular context. This is definitely not exhaustive. This also includes things like roll-up development frameworks, and of course, Noble is included here under liquidity, because we are very much see ourselves as servicing this modular ecosystem. So again, taking a very different approach to your traditional app chain that sort of wants to retain users, retain liquidity, retain mind share on their dedicated app chain. We're looking to service a much bigger ecosystem, which is this very fragmented environment of many roll-ups, many app chains, multiple data availability layers, things like this. So this is the interchain economy as it looks today. This is specifically the Cosmos ecosystem. And I do want to emphasize the 30-day IBC volume of about $1 billion, which has fluctuated between 1 and 3 billion of monthly volume over the past few months. This is the really the most exciting part of the Cosmos ecosystem. This is the token transfers, the sort of communication of arbitrary data, but mostly token transfers happening between Cosmos chains. And so we really see this economy growing and many more projects sort of building in this ecosystem. This is another very useful overview of the ecosystem. Every kind of connection between two circles, which is representative of a Cosmos blockchain, is an IBC connection. And so here you can really see this interchain economy sort of evolving in this very natural, organic, sort of kind of mesh topology type structure, which is something that as Cosmos builders, we're always emphasizing that really every IBC connection is opt-in, so simply run a relayer on either side, and you can now establish this trustless path towards sending different types of data, most of which are token transfers. So you can see here Noble facilitating a few $100 million of native USDC to the rest of the Cosmos ecosystem, and we're super excited to, again, continue servicing this ecosystem with many more stablecoins and real-world assets. So one thing to emphasize is this idea of UX, and this is something that is becoming more and more of a concern as app chains proliferate, both in the Ethereum ecosystem, in the Cosmos ecosystem, and elsewhere. Typically, these are the UX concerns that every sort of roll-up app chain should be concerned with. Things like, gas token friction, how do you abstract away the complexity for the user from a one-click perspective, and how do you actually ensure fast finality even as you are interoperating with different types of execution environments, different block times, et cetera. And so really, at the end of the day, we see ourselves as this UX layer for Cosmos chains when it comes to the stablecoin issuance. So it's pretty cool, and this is something that kind of sounds simple, but you can actually pay gas in native USDC when you interact with the Noble chain in Cosmos. This is something that sounds simple, but we're still so far behind this simple sort of UX, and there are many, many projects, also the Ethereum ecosystem, that are trying to solve for this, things like smart wallets, gas abstraction, and so on, but really this is only now coming to the forefront. So ensuring that there is a seamless UX and this kind of unified experience, even as you're, as a user, are interacting with multiple blockchain architectures is extremely important. So I'll talk about one module that we built on the Noble chain that sort of emphasizes the flexibility of the Cosmos SDK as a toolkit. And this is something that's actually live in production right now, which, you know, if you're interested, happy to, you know, take you through the UX kind of one-on-one as a user. But what this is automated interchain accounts. So in Cosmos, we have an IBC standard called interchain accounts. This effectively allows you to remote control an account on a destination chain from an origin chain. So, you know, typically if you're interacting with kind of multiple blockchains, you need to obviously keep track of many different addresses in your wallet. This actually allows you to remote operate an account on a destination, and this sort of ability unlocks many different use cases, one of which is forwarding. So in this case, we had a team come to us. So this is something we didn't sort of invent kind of on our own in isolation. We had feedback from a project called Settleless. Settleless is a team, it's a spin out from a company called Krafton. Krafton is a well-known South Korean gaming development company. They're most well-known for PUBG, which is one of the most widely played games in the world. And they're building a Cosmos chain to do creator payouts on-chain in USDC for their various games, both Web 2 and Web 3 games. So they came to us with a whole host of requirements. You know, in one click, how do we have an experience where I, as a gaming creator, can take USDC that is sort of paid out for me. Maybe it's through the sale of some in-game asset, like a sword that I created, and how do I actually withdraw that USDC into my bank account in one click? So here you have multiple stakeholders. I mean, you have Circle, the issuer, you have Settleless, the blockchain built by Krafton to facilitate these creator rewards, and you have Noble as the on-chain infrastructure to facilitate the USDC issuance itself, and you have Stripe. Stripe is the mechanism to withdraw to a bank account. So 4 stakeholders, one problem, one objective, and this is what we came up with. So I won't necessarily go into detail in every step. This is also open source software, so it's there for anybody to use. But ultimately, it facilitates this one-click experience where you register a packet on an origin chain like Settleless. You then create an interchain account on Noble. It calls into the forwarding module on the back end, and then you can sort of complete the transaction from there. So this is one simple example of the type of kind of infrastructure that we're building on Noble, leveraging the Cosmos SDK. Again, a highly, highly, highly flexible development toolkit to create these highly custom workflows that doesn't bork other parts of the Noble chain or other assets. These modules can sort of exist kind of in isolation on the Noble chain. This is the front end that we're putting out in the next couple of weeks, which takes advantage of the forwarding module, which is already live in production. And here, I'm actually going between Ethereum with my USDC that I already have to a Cosmos DEX, in this case Osmosis, in one click. So this leverages a few modules, including the forwarding module I just described. It also leverages Circle's native bridge, which is the cross-chain transfer protocol, and it leverages IBC as the protocol that facilitates the forwarding with the forwarding module. So regardless, these, again, are the types of experiences we should be promoting, not manually wrapping, unwrapping, having to reason about the security properties of each chain, feeling uncomfortable about sending tokens between ecosystems. So this is just one example that facilitates that. Yeah, so really this is what we're looking to achieve. There are many asset issuers that are constantly being coming out from stealth. These are mainly in the stablecoin space, but there's also this emerging market of real-world assets. And ultimately, these asset issuers are unable really at the end of the day to have to reason about the security properties of every app chain, every roll-up deployment environment, et cetera. So really, we're looking for Noble to be that landing spot for the issuer where they don't have to have a bunch of angry customers come their way because they can't, the user can't find their asset on any such chain, or the UX is too complicated. So really being an ambassador for the asset issuers on chain, creating those distribution mechanisms, because at the end of the day, we very much align ourselves with the entire app chain ecosystem, whether in Ethereum or Cosmos, that more and more activity will move on chain for your average user over the coming years and decades. Yeah, these are just users and happy paths. We really like our users. We really like getting this feedback. We have a bit of an addiction to user feedback, and so these are just some examples. You can actually spend USDC from Noble in stores all around the world with a MasterCard debit card. There's a photo of that debit card here on the slide. So really, again, onboarding, the next millions, billions of people to crypto and blockchains will require these happy paths and this highly streamlined UX. So that's the end of my presentation. I don't know how long I have, but I'm happy to take questions and chat. Thanks. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for the talk. Unfortunately, I came in the middle of... check.
I can hear you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks for the talk. But for me, I came at the middle of your presentation, so I have a quick question for the last slide. You've shown that there are some implementation of payment, and I'm just curious, so how do IBC transfers work with off-ramps? Because most of the products that are on the market, and even I use Ethereum layer 2s, and they use Ethereum layer 2s for off-ramps, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. We're and for those that didn't hear, so the question was, how does IBC work as an off-ramp mechanism?
Yeah, as an off-ramp, yeah.
Yeah. So how does IBC work to off-ramp assets? So we're very much in the early days of using IBC kind of to off-ramp. The only or even on-ramp, but the only one kind of example in production is Coinbase. So Coinbase, where Noble is fully integrated, they actually support sort of off-ramping with IBC. So right now you can soon you'll be able to withdraw USDC from any Cosmos chain that would automatically kind of forward to Coinbase when you want to withdraw. So let's say I have USDC on DYDX. At a certain point, that obviously was an IBC token transfer, to DYDX, and now I want to withdraw that USDC from DYDX through Coinbase. There is a way to do that with IBC. Really, it's not a technical problem. It's actually more of an integration and like a business development exercise, because you can imagine, a situation where centralized exchanges don't necessarily want to support these workflows for decentralized exchanges, but really all Coinbase would have to do in this situation is run a Noble-like client and a DYDX-like client and make sure that they're using a stable IBC relayer path, which already exists. So it's really just running the necessary kind of developer infrastructure. So that's the only one that currently exists in production, but with the Stripe example that I kind of touched on, for the gamers that will be able to withdraw their rewards through USDC through the Settlist chain, that will actually be a kind of a workflow that we'll have to figure out with Stripe, because every kind of off-ramp, on-ramp provider, whether it's a centralized exchange or a payment provider like Stripe, they have their own regulatory requirements. So again, it's not really a technical issue, it's more of a business development, operational concern. So yeah, we're pushing forward those types of workflows, and hopefully there'll be more than just Coinbase in the near future. Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay. We're good? All right, thank you.
First of all, what a session, guys. And honestly, what a way to close off this event today. Any other questions for Jelena as well while she's here? Well, you've got her. We have got everybody coming into the hall right now for the closing ceremony, but I just want to say a big thank you from our side for really dropping the alpha there. And for those of you, did you share your handles and everything with everybody?
No, but I'm Jelena, 3 A's, 4 underscores on Twitter. So you'll find me on Twitter. I'm like the only Jelena that, yeah, in crypto.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Big round of applause for Jelena, guys.